Hey, what's going on, guys? So you've seen here on the channel Master Grade Crossbone reviews, a number of them, some of them old, some of them new, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Master Grade Crossbone Gundam X3 Verka here for today's video. This one, a really cool version of the Master Grade Crossbone. I like the new color scheme on this. The sort of more traditional tricolor Gundam color scheme on this looks pretty cool. Of course, the 3 on the head is super unique, and it's got some really cool, unique weapons in here as well. So the Master Grade Crossbone Verka, has its issues. It's not like the best Master Grade kit in the line, but I like it a lot. It's a super cool design, and the X3 is certainly no exception. So let's get into it here for today's video. All right, so once again, we've got that beautiful Verka box art here for this one, and actually in a bit more color this time, as we do have the standard Gundam tricolor scheme here with this one, although obviously a little bit different as it's applied onto the Crossbone X3. We got the red, blue, and yellow on white color scheme, and yeah, I just love the box art here for these kits. For me, it's half the reason to buy the kits. Looks awesome, and you got all the red markings on there, such classic like Verka styling, everything on there. It looks really cool. The same thing here on the ends of the box with a close-up of the Gundam, and you can see it's a relatively thick box here for this one. Over on this side, it's going to have some specifications and armaments information right there. Then we've got to look at what the kit is going to look like, built and painted right here with all the markings and everything on that as well, with that really cool sword. On the other side, we've got some more information about the Crossbone Gundam X3 there in Japanese. Then some detail images of the Gundam and weaponry and everything you can see. Here's a look at everything that's included. We're going to have a bunch of stuff in this one once again, and the MSRP for this one was 4,400 yen, which is the standard for these MG Crossbone variants, I think, for the most part, just about right around there. So we'll take a look through all the runners in just a moment. Let's check out our instruction manual here. Right there on the front, we've got our built and painted sample build there, kind of a close-up image of that, and just some titling and credits here on the background. On the front inside page, in typical like Verka MG style, we've got a look at some illustration work and more images of the model kit and development on that. Here's about the Crossbone manga there, it looks like. Another look at all of our weapons and everything, more about the sword in particular, our pilot character figure, line art illustration there of the sword, of the core fighter. And yeah, really cool illustration here of the X1, X2, and X3 designs all together. That's pretty awesome. Very nice. We got some more of that here on this side. Also more about that hand feature there. That's pretty cool. And after that, we're on into the parts list. So we're going to have a bunch of leftover parts, as this is a variant, of course. So we're going to get into the construction. And I'm not sure if we're going to have too much else here in the manual, but once we get to the back, we've got our color and decal guide. So here's where all of those very nice water slide decals are going to go. The color chart is right there as well. As I said, it's pretty much standard Gundam colors here for this, but nice coloring. We are going to have that same cloak included like what we saw with the X2. So this is pretty nice, and we'll see how this looks on the kit here in just a little bit. And then a look at our water slide decals. So in typical Verka style, we've got a bunch of water slide decals for all sorts of markings on this, mostly red, a few in white, a little bit of yellow here and there, and then the 3 marking there. I think that one's going to go on the head. So pretty cool. That all looks very nice. Then we do also have some foil stickers in here for the eyes, cameras, some yellow accents, and a couple of other little bits on there. And then once again, our malleable black wire here that we can use for our weapon accessories. This is one long piece that you're going to cut in half, and you'll have 2 halves, each measuring about 21 centimeters in length. Then we've got no polycaps, so we're right into the runners here with runner A. We've got some clear pink for some beam effect parts over here, clear parts up there, white, and then that nice slightly orangish yellow color over here on the side. Runners B and C are going to be some more blue and red parts there, respectively. And then runners D and E are going to be the rest of our white armor pieces here for this. Very bright white, as you can see there for all those. And then runners F, G, H, I, and J are all going to be in gray here for some internal frame and mechanical detail parts. Here's runner F. We've got 2 of those. Runner G and runner H, some more mechanical details. And once again with this one, it almost looks like the H runner is slightly more purplish, while the rest of the mechanical frame is just sort of like a warmer tone to it. Slightly different kind of color tone here for the different colors of gray. Runner I here has some more frame and weapon and backpack parts, everything on there. And runner J is once again this tiny little runner here with a couple of little parts there for in the arm. Next up, runners M and N in yellow and in white, parts for the big sword. Runner O is going to give us our new parts specifically for the X3 variant. We got some parts in red, blue, white, and gray here on this runner, including a new pilot figure right there. And then runner P is going to be some more beam effect parts here on this clear pink runner, and that's it for everything in the box. Let's go ahead, get it built up, and check it out. Alright guys, here is the kit all built up. I personally really love the color scheme here of the X3. It's that more traditional Gundam tri-color scheme of the red, yellow, and blue on white. And while that may not sound as exciting as the colors of the X1 and X2, I think it looks really good here on the design with some really interesting color placements on there. And I'm just mentioning the colors quite a bit because as you're seeing it now, obviously it's mostly just kind of the same kit that we've seen with the X1 and the X2, with a little bit different parts there on the back of the arms most notably, but like with any good Crossbone variant, we've got some really cool weaponry with this one as well. So let's go ahead and get into taking a look at some of our included accessories. First up, we got some basic parts like our action base connector here, which will connect up underneath the base of the backpack, works very nicely, and then our standing pilot figure here on this little pedestal there to help that to stand up. 1/100 scale pilot figure, very nice. And then we do have a couple of hand option parts here for the left and the right side. These are for the field generator hands, so basically just meant to connect these to replace the kind of standard articulated hands that we have here on the kit. These ones being the type of hands where the thumb is on a ball joint, the first finger is on a ball joint, and then the second, third, and fourth fingers are connected there, but they can move at the base. Each of the hands have a joint at the wrist to be able to bend back like that, but the field generator hands, when connected, are meant to kind of work like that. You can kind of bend the hand back, and then you're going to open up this part here on the back side of the forearm, and that just kind of reveals some nice cool vent details in there. It's just being for when it's basically generating a field barrier anyway, so something like that. We've got some option parts here for the back skirt. You can choose to use these back skirt parts here. They're a little bit different shape to them, and they won't do anything. Some nice detail and a cool shape, but these other parts that I have on here now have within them, you can pull these out, and this is going to be the handle for the screw whip. So of course we've got two of those, and then two wires to use with those, and so the wire just has this cool little part there at the end, and it's a nice substantial wire too, so you should be able to use this by shaping this wire in kind of whatever shape or form you wanted to do for posing that. Back around here on the front skirts then, these of course can come off, and by attaching one of these two chain parts into there like that, we can then unfold the little claw bits here on the front skirt, and this is going to be for the chain anchor here that then connects into that. And then this can be used as just an anchor or as a weapon, or however you might want to use that, just kind of shooting out of the front skirt there. Again, something we've seen before. It's not specific to this particular variant. Then for some more weaponry, we've got two of these knife blades that can either come out of the bottom of the foot. You just stick it in there like so. So then you can have knife feet there. Alternatively, if we go around here to the back, if you wanted this to just be a handheld knife, the handle is here in the back of the leg. You can pop that out and connect that in like that, and then this can just be a short handheld knife like that. Then of course we have just a regular old beam sabers here as well. Here's our clear pink beam saber effect parts for that. The beam sabers are stored up here in the top of the chest. It's very handy to just use the beam effect. Just stick into there and pull the handle out. If you're having trouble with it, just kind of helps to get it out of there. You can use just some standard beam sabers like that, but that's a little bit boring compared to some of the other options that we have with this, and we do have a lot. And we also have its large beam pirate sword here like that with the very large beam effect on this, and then that's just going to be held in the hand there with the handle part, but that can of course be attached into our pistol weapon here. So this is basically our only kind of our main ranged weapon that this has, other than just its different mode, because either you can use it as pistol mode or you can fold them up and connect them together, which I'll show you here in a minute, but that's going to make basically your rifle by connecting them together for more long range. But then of course we do also have the extra large Muramase blaster sword, which can be used as a rifle by using this hand here, and it just works like that. I guess you could omit this tip part here If you want to, that can be omitted. And I'm not sure how that works like in canon, if that can just be like shot off as just like a ranged like physical weapon or something. But otherwise, holding on to the main handle and just using it as a sword, I suppose it could be used as just a blunt sword, but we do have these really cool toothed beam effects here out the sides, and I suppose you could just use one side. You don't necessarily have to use both. But using both for the full effect makes for a pretty impressive weapon here. That's just going to look like that with both in hand, and it does get pretty heavy though. That's the main problem with some of the weaponry that the different versions of the Crossbone have, is that the weaponry can get a little large and a little bit heavy at times, so we'll see if the kit has any trouble holding this. Hopefully it doesn't. All the weaponry does have these little holes here that tab into the hand. That should give you a pretty solid grip. They all have that like that there. Even the knife blade handle and the beam saber handles. So they all should tab into the hand, and that should work pretty well. But even still, some of those weapons can be a little bit hefty. Now, other than that, another thing, of course, that you can do with some of these weapons, like the pistol, is attach it in here to the side skirts. You have these hard points for that to be able to plug onto there. The same thing goes for the other half of that. The sword blade can be plugged into the other side. And then the blaster as well also has a hard point there at the top for this to be able to plug into the side skirt. Now you'll notice it has a very long handle, so even plugged onto the side skirt, it's going to be like sticking way out. But it's nice that these weapons can be stored on the kit when not held in hand, when not in use. Last but not least, of course, we've got the cape here, which has the darker, duller side on one side and this shinier side here. I had this like crumpled up and a rubber band wrapped around it for a long time just to kind of help it look a bit more kind of weathered or tattered. The manual also recommends you to just use scissors and kind of like cut up the ends of this a little bit just to make it look a bit more worn. I've found from using this on different versions of this kit that it works well enough. It's okay, but I think if you really wanted a crossbone with the cape on it, then I would recommend to you guys to get the real grade, because the real grade version of it I think looks the best. As for the main kit then, obviously it's nothing really too much new. It's the same version of the crossbone that we've seen, aside from these new parts here on the arm that I mentioned. Other than that, I mean, you have like these stickers here for the yellow bits here on the front and back of the shoulders. We've got little blue stickers here to cover up that little bit of white there underneath the red part there on the chest. For example, the white bits here on the ends of the V-fin, that's obviously not a separate part. The V-fin is just a red piece, and then you have white stickers that wrap around the end to give you that two-tone color for the V-fin. The mouth parts will open up inside there, which does look pretty cool, but it would definitely look a lot cooler if you were to go in with a marker and just kind of at the very least fill in some of that detail there, just because this white on this is a very bright white, and so you're not really going to see a lot of those details. I would really recommend going in with a gray Panaline pen and just bring out some of the details around on this kit. Overall, for being a little bit of an older Master Grade, I find the Master Grade Crossbone to be pretty nice when it comes to the articulation. I do find this to be a bit of an issue, moving the legs around. The armor panels on the legs do tend to want to separate like that. You can see they're starting to separate there. And the more I move this around, kind of the more those are going to want to separate. So if you don't mind it, I would recommend putting a little bit of glue on those parts just to make sure that they stay together and nothing's like falling apart on you later on as you're moving the kit around. But the cockpit hatch does open up inside there. You have your seated pilot figure inside there, and of course you can take out the core fighter and have that on its own if you want to as well. But here we also have a bunch of yellow stickers for all the little yellow verniers here on the backpack. These parts can be moved and adjusted as needed. The little thruster bells can also be angled like that. Like I said, it's all stuff that we've seen before, but I think on this version of the kit, everything does look really nice. And so obviously, guys, with a whole lot of different weapon and accessory options with this kit, I can show you, a handful of poses here, just as we're taking a look at this. But one of the great things about any version of the Crossbone is that it's always a Gundam that has a lot of weapon options. And so if you like that, then it's definitely one that I can recommend you guys. If you already have maybe one or two or three other different versions of the Master Grade Crossbone, do I really recommend getting the X3 and adding that to your collection as well? Just kind of really depends on you. Overall, it doesn't necessarily really add a whole lot in terms of the new parts, but I do have to say it is a really cool version. And as someone who's not even like, super duper into the Crossbone Gundam, I do really enjoy having, I think 5 different versions of this kit in total, from the X1, X2, the X2 Kai, the X3, and the XO, which is in silver. They're all really cool variations, and I think I'm just a sucker for them being Master Grade Verkas too, just because the Verka box art and illustrations on them, and just the kits themselves too are just so nice looking. But with them being premium Bandai releases, they are probably going to cost you a little bit more, and so whether it's worth it to have multiple variations that don't necessarily have a whole lot of different parts or anything, it's going to be up to you. But I would say if you can get them at a fair price and you're a fan of the design, they're definitely well worth it. Any version of the Master Grade Crossbone, like I said, even though it is a little bit older of a base kit, I think it still holds up very well, and you're certainly getting a lot of value with this series of kits just because of how much stuff and different things that they have in the box in terms of your weapon options and all that. So there's definitely a lot of value in the Master Grade Crossbone and kind of any version of the Crossbone, I suppose, but in the Master Grade in particular, I think you get a lot with it. It is going to take a fair amount of detail painting to get it looking, in its accurate colors. There's a lot of like small little color apps missing here and there, but whether you wanted to just only paint in the missing details or, paint the thing entirely, it's definitely going to look fantastic. I mean, I think it doesn't look bad just like this straight out of the box, but definitely at the very least with a little bit of panel lining, a couple of decals on there, and some top coat, it's going to look pretty nice. And the great thing about these being Verkok kits is that they do include a lot of nice water slides in there, as well as we saw in the unboxing portion of the video. So definitely a really nice kit with some really cool stuff included. But let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think about this version? And let me know which is your favorite of the many different Crossbone variations. Let me know in the comment section below. If you guys want to check out some more model kits of the non-premium Bandai variety, you can check out the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. Until next time, guys, hope you all are having a great day. Thanks so much for all of your support, leaving a like, making sure that you're subscribed. I really appreciate it. But that's it for today. I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.